Okay, a very good morning to all of you from Dubai. I know it's going to be, I think, afternoon already in India, but it's still morning here. It's going to be afternoon very, very soon. The sun is out, and even though early morning it's a bit pleasant, but by this time it's going to be around 12 o'clock here in Dubai. By this time, it gets very, very hot. You can see the sun outside is harsh, very bright. But the view is beautiful for those of you who are joining us. Let me show you. This, what you see right behind me, that building, that is the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, right? That's right behind me. I'm in downtown Dubai. This is going to be my abode for the next few days till the end of the Asia Cup, that I'll bring you all the updates from. It's been rather quiet after that India-Pakistan game, because that was the high pressure game. We had a massive build up for it, but now it's quietened down a bit. Kushal, thank you, and everyone who's joining me, a big welcome. Satyajit, thank you for your kind words. Okay, somebody wanted me to give you the full view of Burj. Okay, let me give you the full view of the Burj. Okay, there you see, that's where the Burj starts from. There it goes up and up, and it's never ending. It's never ending. Can you see that? That is the Burj Khalifa. So that's right behind me. I hope you enjoyed it. This is downtown Dubai, where I'm coming to you live from. This is my hotel. Nice little balcony I have of where I can do all the shows, give you all the latest update. I'm not too far away from the ground as well, so we'll give you updates from the ground. Abhishek, thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, I can see a lot of questions with regarding today's game, and I'll try and answer all of those questions, also give you some latest updates from Dubai, what has been happening. If you've been tuning into sports today, you would know what the Indian team did yesterday. Most of the players did not come for practice, and I'm talking about most as in the most regulars. So your top order batsmen weren't there in Rohit Sharma, in Virat Kohli, in Hardik Pandya, in Surya Kumar Yadav. So these guys didn't come for practice, and then your fast bowlers in Avesh, Bhuvaneshwar, Ashdeep, all of them skipped practice. And I can understand. There are a few reasons. I'll try and give you those reasons why you think, why I think that they skipped practice. But the ones that came, let me give you an update on that. So you had KL Rahul, who came out to practice. You had Rishabh Pant, who came out to practice. Then there was Yuzi Chahal. So these are, two of them are regular members in KL and Yuzi Chahal who were there. Ravindra Jadeja. So these are 3-4 guys that played that last game, but they came out to practice yesterday at the practice facility. Rishabh Pant was also there. KL is been struggling for form ever since he's made a return after the injury, and that can happen to anybody. Your fluency takes time, and we saw it in Zimbabwe, we saw it in the first game, though in the first game he didn't have a lot of opportunities, so we really can't talk about his fluency, but got out on the first delivery. So I think it was prudent, it was smart, it was pragmatic on the part of KL Rahul to have come out and batted in the nets. He does need to time that ball, get that feeling of the ball hitting willow, and which is what he was doing. So smart on KL's part. Rishabh Pant, the other guy who has a point to prove. He's not playing in the 11, and so he has a point to prove where he needs to show the team management that he still has what it takes in the T20 format. We know Rishabh in the ODI format and Test format is a must-have in the Indian team, but in the T20 format is fallen slightly behind because of not outstanding performances. But we know he has an X factor, so he's in the scheme of things. We came out to practice yesterday. By the way, he looked the best out of the lot that were batting in the nets. Rishabh Pant was really hitting the ball far and wide. He was hitting it far behind. So Rishabh Pant looked very, very good in the practice session. The other one who's been looking good, not just yesterday by the way, but he's been looking good all throughout, is Deepak Chahar. He's been bowling very well in the nets, but of course, as you know, he's not part of the Indian 15. Going forward, he could be drafted in. I think they've got him as a backup just in case somebody is injured. They can bring him in. So he's been looking good alongside Rishabh Pant. So that is what happened in India's practice. There was no coach. Rahul Dravid also at the practice. So the team was pretty much doing the drills that I think it was more on individuals. What is it that they want to work on? What are the areas that they will be working on? So that was how India's practice was. As far as the team combination is concerned, I mean, I was talking to Harbhajan Singh yesterday. We spent a lot of time previewing the game. You can check that video out on Sports Today. It's there. And Harbhajan thought that there will be no changes to the playing 11. And if you were to ask my personal opinion, I think I would agree with him. I don't think India would change. Though, of course, there is a school of thought that because there is a lot of heat here, we saw Naseem Shah getting cramped, a few other Pakistani players getting cramped. There is a lot of heat, and that also brings me to the point of the practice. You know, many who are questioning why is it that a lot of other players did not come out on practice, and I think the reason behind is that India had early practice around 4 in the afternoon here, and 4 in the afternoon here is very hot. So I think to avoid that, also the gap between the Hong Kong and Pakistan game wasn't much. So I think they wanted, you know, the players to rest, and I can understand why they're trying to ensure that players relax. Now remember, the practice timing here, and this is very important, there is only one practice facility, the ICC Academy, where the teams come out to practice. Now what happens is that every team here wants to practice in the night when the lights are on, for two reasons. One, the weather is very good. The second reason is that those are the conditions that they will encounter when they're playing the main game, because all games are you know, in the evening, 7:30 p.m. India time, which is 6 p.m. Dubai time. So they want to practice around that time, so they get used to the condition. Also, it's cooler conditions, so every team wants to practice. Now they can't accommodate every team at the same time, so at best you can have 2 teams practicing simultaneously in the practicing facility. But as you know, there are multiple teams here in the tournament, 6 of them, so you have to space it out. And then there is a rotation sort that they've worked out, in which certain teams have to practice early evening, 4 o'clock, and then certain teams get a chance to practice in the evening, in the 6 o'clock, and then there's a 9 o'clock slot. So there are different slots, they are given on rotation, and India's slot yesterday was the hotter slot. So I think there was some merit in the decision that the Indian team took to not have everyone come out and practice. So yeah, that was practice, and I told you who was doing how in the practice session. If you're joining me now on the video, just go back and check that out. As far as team changes are concerned, Harbhajan Singh, as I mentioned, was of the opinion that no changes will happen, and in a way I agree with him for 2 reasons. One, you are playing just limited amount of games, 7 in all, in an entire tournament spread over a period of slightly more than 2 weeks. So clearly, and then it's T20 format, it's not a longer format, so clearly the workload is not much, and also you're having optional training sessions. So I think if every player or your top players were to play every game, that shouldn't be a problem. So workload management can be looked after, and yet you can have every player playing every game. So that is what they can do. The only reason the Indian team might make changes is if they want to try something, and you'll get no better opportunity in this tournament than Hong Kong, because on paper at least, Hong Kong does seem to be the weakest team amongst the 6 teams that are playing the main draw. So if you have to do any experiments without worrying about the result, I think this would be the best time. Also, the other reason is that take for example Hardik Pandya. You have to utilize Hardik Pandya very carefully, very judiciously. You don't want him bowling in every game, and if that is the case, and if he's not going to be bowling in this game because it may not be the most important game, then maybe there is a you know, argument to be made for Hardik Pandya to sit out, because if he's not going to be bowling, with his batting is in fine touch, so doesn't even need that sort of practice. So if that in mind, if you have to rest somebody, maybe Hardik Pandya could be that guy if he's not going to be bowling, and I think that might be the case. So you could try maybe bring in a Deepak Hooda if you want to give him a chance, maybe even bring in Rishabh Pant and have that extra batter and make do with, you know, 5 bowlers only. But if you need the 6th bowling option, then you could you know, have Deepak Hooda come in. So few things that you can see. The other thing you can see is maybe also rest a fast bowler. So between Avesh and Arshdeep has been playing non-stop cricket, as you realize, you know, for some time for India, and so maybe you could then have a situation where you could bring in a leg spinner in Ravi Bishnoi. You could see him here play this game. Also, the other reason why you can look at a Ravi Bishnoi, because, you know, leg spinners, and especially a quicker leg spinner like Bishnoi is, they tend to trouble these teams which are not very experienced, or minnows as we like to call them, even though I don't like that word very much. So against them, maybe you could look at a leg spinner like Ravi Bishnoi. So few changes India can look at, and purely not in terms of workload, but mostly in terms of experimentation. And remember, Rohit Sharma made it very clear that they want to continue this experimentation. So if you want to do that, maybe now would be the time to make these little changes. As I said, Hardik can be given some rest, and you can try a Huda slash Pant, or in bowling give fast bowlers a rest, maybe two of them, one or two, and bring one fast bowler sits out, so bring in another spinner. These are things that India can look to do. I know you're sending a lot of questions, I'll try and answer, but just trying to finish with all the updates here. The other big news that is happening in Dubai is, of course, Afghanistan. They have been the team in form, and full credit to our expert in Harbhajan Singh, who pointed out even before the tournament started, he said, you are all talking about India and Pakistan. Don't take Afghanistan lightly. This is a dangerous team, and every time their batting fires and they get in the region of 160, they will trouble even the best of teams like India and Pakistan, because their bowling is absolutely outstanding. So true to his word, Afghanistan is looking very, very good in the tournament so far. 2 wins out of 2, clearly the best side in that group. So with that in mind, I think we just keep talking about Asia Cup as an India-Pakistan encounter. You will have a good game on offer when India take on Afghanistan too. So standout performance, I mean, we know Rashid is always going to be good. Mujib is now striking form as well. Their batting, I'm a big fan of Remanullah Gurbaz, youngster, can be dangerous. Hazratullah Zazai, all of these players that they used to have, which made their batting order so strong. Nabi is another favorite of mine, picks up wickets, sometimes underrated as a bowler, now the captain, an experienced hand at that. So Najibullah Zadran, so their team is a potent one, and their top order is good. So whenever the batting fires, Afghanistan can trouble a lot of teams. So that's been the talk of the town right now, the Afghanistan team. Now to India's opponent, Hong Kong, and I know not a lot of you are taking Hong Kong very seriously, but just a reminder, it was the very same venue, Dubai, exactly 4 years ago when the Asia Cup happened here in Dubai. That time it was a 50-over format, and Hong Kong did give India a scare. I think India got in the region of 280, 285 or something. Shikhar got 100, and then Hong Kong really ran them close, lost by I think 25, 26 runs or so to India. I remember that because Anshuman Rath, the man of Indian origin, played very well. Now, if for those of you who don't know, Anshuman is not part of, he was I think captain at the time. He's not part of the Hong Kong side anymore because he's moved to India. He's trying to get his foot in the door in Indian cricket, at least play the IPL. So he's there. But otherwise, Baba Hayat is been in good form. Then they have Murtaza, who's very, very good with form, and then Nizakat Khan, their captain. So Nizakat Khan, Yasin Murtaza, and Babar Hayat, 3 guys to watch out for in the Hong Kong top order. These are going to be very crucial, and I find the Hong Kong story amazing. They are semi-professionals. They came for the press conference yesterday, and what was really a big standout moment is, remember, some of those guys do regular jobs. So a few of them are food delivery for these food-based apps. Like in India we have Zomato and Swiggy. In Hong Kong they have different apps, Food Panda and all of that. So they're delivery guys, some of them to earn their daily bread, because they don't make money out of cricket. They have to do day coaching. They do private coaching of some young players, and that's how earn their money. One of them is going to university, the Indian origin guy who's their new ball bowler as well. So they have to do multiple jobs to survive. So it's an incredible story for Hong Kong, who are not professional cricketers. And remember, they've been unbeaten in this tournament so far. They look very good against Kuwait, Singapore, UAE. They've beaten them convincingly to qualify. So I know India start as a favourite, but if they gave India a scare in the 50-over format, imagine what can happen in a format like 2020, where the gaps between teams anyway reduce. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. I'll talk a bit more about Hong Kong, but here's Ravivat Joshi. He says, has your close proximity to the players ever tempted you to pick up the bat and play yourself? Ravit Joshi is asking. Ravit, I mean, we still play. If you follow Sports Today and AajTak, we play cricket twice a week. Though now I'm in my mid 40s, so I'm not very young anymore. But when it comes to cricket, 20 overs, we play a lot, and I that temptation is still there. That, what do you call that? Keeda of cricket is still there. I had it all my life. As a kid, I played club cricket in Calcutta. I'll tell you those stories some days. I was, when Saurav Ganguly made his debut in Australia '92. At that time, I used to play for a club called Sporting Union in Calcutta, and he came down to do nets once. I've told this story to Saurav as well. He came to do nets, and we were young kids bowling in the nets. I still remember, and I was totally, in awe of watching an Indian player. That time he had just played, I think, one game or so in Australia, but just the fact that he got selected in India. So I played some of my initial cricket in Calcutta, a lot of Maidan cricket there, as you know. And then over the years, when my family moved to Pune, I played a lot at Pune Club. So yeah, but never took the game very seriously, or wasn't even talented ever to move on to the next level beyond club cricket. But that doesn't mean that Keeda of cricket is not there. So we play a lot of cricket now, very competitive cricket against younger guys, some of them half my age. But I love the banter, I love the competitiveness. So yeah, that was your answer. Going back to the Hong Kong team, as I mentioned, some of them are semi-professional, so hats off to that team. Some of them are food delivery boys, some of them do private coaching, some of them are in university. And the other thing that really stands out for this Hong Kong team, they have been on the road non-stop. 2 or 3 members of this team who have become father in the last few months but haven't been able to see their newborn kids, because they have been playing non-stop cricket. They have been preparing for this Asia Cup. Of course, playing against lesser known teams, but playing a lot of cricket. So some of them have only seen their kids via video calls, not even met them personally. That just tells you about their dedication and their commitment towards cricket. And imagine, they are not playing cricket because they make millions. They're just playing because of the love of the game. So hats off to the dedication of the Hong Kong players, and salute to them to have reached so far in such a convincing fashion. I would want them to do well, though they have a tough task against a team as strong as India. But as I mentioned, 50 over they ran them close, 20 over will be a close contest. You can't take them very lightly. Of course, India start as the overwhelming favourite, but never take any team lightly in the T20 format. Okay, let me take a few questions. Kavita B is saying KL Rahul will score big from now on. What say Nikhil sir? Kavita, yes, I know, and I know some of you in the comment section, I know, have been, being a bit naughty about, KL scoring against lesser known teams. But listen, KL Rahul is a fine batsman, and I'll tell you from my personal experience, watching him live, he is a sight to behold. I think, you keep hearing commentators saying, oh, what a good looking batsman, one of the most aesthetically looking batsmen. I've seen it firsthand. Even in the nets, there is something special about him, I have to admit. The way he times the ball, and I mentioned it the other day, when batsmen hit a big shot, you can see an effort. Even someone as classy as Rohit Sharma, when he's pulling the ball, you know that he's making an effort or using his muscle power to clear some time, or even a Virat. In KL Rahul's case, it's never it. His sixes, even in net practices, are just pure timing. It's just a flick of a wrist. It's that something, which looks aesthetically very good, something that he's been blessed with. So he's clearly a very special player to watch. You'll only understand that if you watch him live. He's very, very good on that front. And I'm sure he'll score big. And even if it comes against a lesser known team or a weaker team, that's great, because that will again help him play some better knocks in the future. In this tournament, by the way, this tournament will get very juicy going forward. You'll have another India-Pakistan. You'll have another game which will be big, which will be India-Afghanistan. So plenty of very big games coming up in this tournament, and you need a good man in form in KL Rahul. Utkarsh Sinha is saying, hope it will be a competitive match. Yeah, everybody would want to see, but Utkarsh, as I said, T20 matches more often than not are competitive. Even if you look at the IPL, sometimes the top team playing the bottom place team, but their matches can give you a surprise. Things can turn around, because as I said, shorter the format, the chances of upsets happening also increase. Ashish is asking, hi sir, good afternoon. Don't you think India should rest Hardik and play Rishabh, also rest Jadeja? or one pacer in play, who does. So it will be a good opportunity for everyone to get into form. Ashish, I completely agree with you. I think you've joined the video just now. This is exactly what I said at the start of the video when we were talking about who they can look at in terms of changes, and I mentioned this, that Hardik is not going to be bowling, so good option for him to rest. And then you can also have another spinner coming in for a fast bowler. So yes, I say that. Satyajit is saying, why no Virat Kohli opening with Rohit Sharma? Satyajit, how do you, I agree that Virat opening is not a bad option, but how do you, get him in place of KL Rahul? I think KL Rahul is a vice captain. So I don't think that is happening. It's just the combination of the team. I don't think that will happen. India is blessed in that way to have such good, openers or such good top order batsmen. So I don't think that is going to happen for now. For some reason, the super chats that you guys are sending me are not opening. Okay, now I can see it. Rahul Vasudev saying, India should not change. Oh, very tough, yeah. Should not change their 11 unless there is a niggle or so. Also, please don't do India Park collab, especially with India haters. All the best, Hong Kong team. Okay, this is opinion. Rahul doesn't want any changes for the Indian team. So, yeah, that could be possible. But as I said, if they want to experiment, this is their best chance. Chetan Joshi joins us from San Francisco. Hi, Chetan. Chetan is asking, could you share the conversation that I had with Virat Kohli? Okay, so we met Virat in a very comfortable mood. Me and Vikrant were there, and I think the conversation started because we had been seeing him every day in the afternoon. He likes to go to the pool and then take a sun bath. So we were asking him that whether it was just part of him relaxing, or is there any sort of planning, because as Vikrant has pointed out earlier, the conversation with Sachin Tendulkar, where Sachin used to actually go in the nets sometimes and not even batting or bowling, but really stand with his helmet and full kit on and just walk around. And at that time, he had mentioned that how he liked to get used to the top sun, the heat, because when you're batting, he wanted the body to get used to that heat with the full kit. So maybe we thought, because Dubai has been very, very hot, and so we thought maybe that is something that Virat is doing. So we asked him about that. He said, no, not at all. It's just part of his relaxing routine, and so that is why he comes out and sits. So that's the conversation we had. Then we were just talking about fitness, and he said, in those days there were different ways to keeping fit. When we spoke to him about Sachin Paji's, he said now we do different fitness regimes, maybe because it's become very structured and very organized. So he said this heat, to deal with heat, they do other fitness drills, not like going in the sun, and that's how he stays fit. And he says, then I spoke to him about his fitness, and I said, how fit he is. He said, I have to, because there are so many formats that one has to play, so I have to keep fit. And then he mentioned about no off season also, which I reminded him that in those days players would have off seasons. These guys don't get an off season. So he said, yeah, absolutely right. So we were just talking about fitness. I spoke to him about the heat in Dubai, and I said, maybe you are better placed compared to a few other players. Naseem Shah and all come from high up in Pakistan, much cooler climes, and few other players who are not used to. He comes from Delhi, even though he stays in Mumbai now. He comes from Delhi. So he said, yeah, actually you're right. Virat said that, the Delhi dry heat, which you don't get in Bombay and coastal areas, you only get in Delhi because there's not too much humidity. It's that dry heat, and Dubai is similar, dry heat. So he said, yeah, this dry heat, he's kind of used to it, born and brought up in Delhi, so he can handle that dry heat here as well. So those are the conversation I had. I had a little bit of other conversation, since I spoke to him about how his extended family, how his in-laws are, how is his wife doing, because I in the past had spent some time with them. Wonderful people, Anushka's parents, and I had bonded with them a lot. So I had never been in touch. So just I asked him how are they doing, and I said, please give my regards to sir and ma'am. So he said, yeah, sure. They're in Leeds at the moment, where Anushka is filming for Chakta Express, where Anushka is playing Julan Goswami. So they are there, and he's alone here. So those are just basic conversations I had with him. I wanted to tell him a story which I didn't get the opportunity, which he'll be amazed also to know from my trip there. Very fascinating story. Maybe in the next time I get a chance, I'll tell him that. Let me take a few more questions. Okay, a lot of people asking me, why did you leave that hotel? So, why I left, because of a few logistical issues. Our network wasn't great. A lot of you had said that the network wasn't great at that time. Maybe our data network is much better here. The Wi-Fi is slightly better here. Also, I'm in downtown. It helps me. There we were. It's a very secluded place, and we are here at work, so we need to get a lot of things very often. That's secluded in one corner. Now in the busy area of Dubai, so if I need anything, whether it's tech related, equipment related, I get all of that close by. So with those things in mind, we also needed a slightly bigger place. The rooms, there were slightly smaller. So with all that in mind, I've had to move places. So just because of that. Otherwise, both hotels were lovely. Manish Sharma says, what if Babar fires alone? Where do you see Pak going in this cup? Manish, I'll tell you about Pakistan. Few things. Firstly, see, we're not talking about it much, but if you lose the first game, your next game becomes a must win. And in one day cricket, in T20 cricket, upsets happen very often. So Pakistan will have a lot of pressure. I know they'll play minnows in Hong Kong, but they'll have a lot of pressure to win that game. So that pressure is going to be there. If Babar fires, of course, Pakistan will get a better total. And this is what I mentioned earlier in a few of my chats, that, credit to Pakistan, India were the better team. But credit to Pakistan, a lot of things didn't go right for them on that. They lost the toss, so they had to bat first. Batting second, as we know, is slightly better than batting first. Then the batting didn't fire, Babar didn't come good. The rest of the batsmen also didn't really chip in. Just cameos here and there. Then they dropped a few catches. Their best bowler Naseem Shah started getting cramps a little later. So all of those put together, everything that Murphy's Law, everything that can go wrong will go wrong, probably caught up with Pakistan on that day. And yet they took the game to the last over. So they're a competitive side. Everything, if works for them, then they'll even be more dangerous. So we'll see how they go in the tournament, but next game for them is going to be very big against Hong Kong. Almost a do and die game, irrespective of what happens in the game against India. So they were out practicing yesterday in full strength, Pakistan team, but they also had a later practice, evening practice, so they could come out and practice. So okay, Kavita is saying that you said in good way that KL will score. Yes, Kavita, completely agree with you on that one. Good question. Shaina Ria saying spinners did very well. Can Ashwin replace Avesh? Not a bad option, but you know what? In the India game, all wickets were taken by fast bowlers. So it's a catch-22 situation. I think it's helping fast bowler. I think why Afghanistan spinners are doing well, or even for Bangladesh, because those are their best bowlers. So it's not so much about spin versus fast. It's just the best bowler is doing well. Whatever the best bowler is, he or she will do well, irrespective of the condition. So I think that is important. Does Ashwin then fit into the things? Maybe he might play. As I said, if Hardik is not going to bowl in the next game and against Hong Kong, you can experiment. Even Ashwin is a good option. You can bring in Ashwin then, and Hardik goes out, and Ashwin also offers you something with the bat. So that front you can look at it. But whether this pitch is going to be conducive for spin bowling, I don't know, because the earlier game, India played on a used strip of the pitch that was used in the first game India played. This is going to be a fresh pitch, fresh strip that India will play the game against Hong Kong. So we don't know how it will play, but roughly the square is almost the same for all teams. So that I think they will have to keep in mind. Vaibhav is saying Bishnoi. Also, I've spoken about that, Vaibhav, earlier. Anime fan saying, will you be in the UAE for the whole tournament? Yes, I will be here till the end. Cricket lover saying, why Vikrant sir is back to India? Because Vikrant sir is very busy, man. He has a lot of work, Vikrant, in India. He had to finish those things. But he will be back here. Hopefully, India should reach the final and he should be back. So he had to do a lot of work there. But he'll be back, as I mentioned. Meanwhile, you'll have to make do with me. Bear with me. Okay. On that note, I'm going to be signing off. But today I'll be there on India Today before the game starts live. Our show on television is at 6:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. You can watch it on television or on YouTube, India Today. We'll have Sunny Gavaskar join us, build up to that Hong Kong game. So I'll meet you then. For the moment, Nikhil Naz signing off. Subscribe to Sports Today if you haven't already. Rahman is sending, Gujar is sending love from Pakistan. Love back right at you. And yeah, that's that. See you guys. Bye bye. Take care.